So we'll continue from where we stop. So if you come here from the grid where we stopped last time, and because you have closed your browser, closed your PyCharm, and everything has been closed. So if you come here to continue with where we stop and just run the code again, you're going to have this particular error. And that's why I always sometimes gather my module in one place, so that if I want to continue again, I will run it again. To make this work, you need to rerun this. So that I'm going to run this particular cell, and that automatically picked that I am using the numpy, which is why I am having this one being failed here, because it did not understand what numpy mean again. So here, because of that, I am running that again. So I will come here and rerun this one, and when I rerun it, and that's going to show me on this. Now we continue to grid. In griding, for you to bring grid, you do plt.grid. So you are going to use grd and then open and close, and then you run this one again, and that's going to add grid to it by default, depending on the number. The same way, if you have a coordinate of x, y, and z, and if you bring them here and you plot them like a line or point, and it adds you a grid coordinate which you put longitude and latitude, you remember, that's the same way it comes here. So you can see the grid here. Then you can put the grid in that particular pattern, adding the grid to you. Then sometimes, if you want to label a particular direction, I can now say to define that. So I need to introduce axis. And if I say axis and I say label the axis of x for me only, so what it means is that I am passing an argument into the grid, and to state argument I only need the x-axis to be labeled for me. If I leave it by default, it's going to label y, but if I pass that argument to it, which is x, it's going to label the x for me. Then if I want it to label y for me, I'm also going to leave it on the y, and that's going to label y for me only. S, if I leave it open, that's going to be labeled for me in that. And if you pass only without putting axis, and you pass in the grid, and you pass x comma y like this inside it, what happens? You are going to have that x and y is not defined. So when you put up these things, that's not going to work for you. So you need to put axis for you to get that done. But remember that there is no need for you putting axis. If you want it in both x and y, just leave it in open bracket like this, and that's going to give you both x and y axis. Now that's how you can actually bring in grid into your plotting or any type of visualization you want to do. Now, in the aspect of grid, there are other parameters that can be passed through to it. Like, for example, you can say that you need it in color, and you can say put it in red color for me. Then you need to pass color inside it and run it like red, and you are going to have the grid color being red for you. Then you can also pass some other argument like line. How do you want it to be? So I have talked about this. So you go with line style, type line style. You define how you want the line style to be. So for me, I'm going to put it in dot dot dash, that the way we used to do it in Python. Sorry, in ArcGIS. So if I put it dash dot dot, that is dash. So I'm going to have the line style that looks like this. What is the issue? So there is a here. Right, so let me start from none to unknown. So let's run this. So we have this. Okay, correct. So let's go again. Let's go with line style. Then we say is equal to the line style is going to be this and this. So let's check now to see where the problem is going to come from again. Well, this is funny now. Line 8, the position grid plot show throwback. Lydia, you said the problem is this, and then we have another problem. So how do we solve this? I'm saying that the grid plt.grid not visible, which is axis and the keyword. So we're supposed to be having either it is visible and which, then axis, and then the rest of the keyword. The one of the keyword is major, one of them is parenthesis, one of them is this. So I think I will need to check for something whether this is obiturated. If not, we can always put up this, and that works perfectly. Like what I'm trying to do is I wanted to change the way the color looks and how it is here. I'm doing it in grid. Yeah, that is correct. And then line width, that's not correct, so this works here. But when we pass the argument of line width, let me check with line width is equals to 0.5 or 1, and this is where the problem is. So I think I will need to check the documentation of this, but there is something that is actually wrong, and this is pointing on line 8. Okay. This is working. Then line style, let's say dash, and then that gives you in this pattern. So the line width here, you can also increase that to increase the width. You can see here, and that's the size of the line grid, and this is the way you can get it done. So if you leave it by 1, and that's going to be 1 as well. So this is generally how you can pass anything that have to do with the grid into it. Now that's generally how to get it done. Now we go into subplots. So in this, the same way I'm going to go ahead to change this to markdown, and I'm going to put the hash here like I explained yesterday, and I'm going to type subplot. Now when do you use subplot? Subplot is a way you display a multiple variable, like a multiple things that you want to plot in one as one, so you can display them in subplot. Now the same thing we were doing, so let's now define a different things we want to plot. Now this is a little bit important, and I'm going to explain that. I have already imported the modules I'm going to use, so I'm going to say plot 1, what I want to plot as the first thing I want to plot. So I'll go home, put hash here to explain this. So I'm going to plot for the first thing I want to plot, and what I want to plot is I'm going to define the x is equal to, and I'm going to say in this plot of plot 1, I'm going to define it as, let's say here, let me define it with whatever I want. So I'm going to put 1, 4, 6. This is the first x, and then the y I'm going to define is also going to be in the list. Now what it means is that if you are putting an ndvi, you put ndr, mvi, depending on how over. If you want to put them in different plot, last for you. If you want to put them in single one, left for you. So but you just define the way you want it to be. So I'm going to make this one, and this is the plot 1. Now in the plot 1, what I need to do here is that I've defined the plot 1, then I am going to do plt dot subplot. So we are going to use subplot. So you do sub like this, and you put plot, so which is going to be the subplot, and then you define the position. The first position is the row, which is 1. The second position is the column, you can say 2. The third position is the position. Don't worry on this, I'm going to explain that again in a perfect order. So I'm going to do plt here dot show. So in plt dot show is where you are going to show. Remember that we have it is a subplot, so we need to bring in another subplot. So if you want to plot this one, you can now say plt dot plot. You now say plot the x, y, and then you close this. Now the plt plot show, because it is a subplot, you can see this one have shown in a subplot. Now we pass the second one. In that second one, I can say plot 2, for example. Let me go home and hash it. Why I'm explaining plot 2 is because I want you to understand like it goes in that way. You go to the next plot 2, you do the same thing again in plot 2. Now remember here that where I'm just doing plot, you can also pass the numpy, which is np.array. This is here. So this is also important. So you pass np.array. In this way, you're going to use it in this pattern. So you're also going to get this one, close up bracket, then, and you pass np.array, np.array, and then you put it in open and close bracket. So for the sake of this, I'm just going to copy this because I just want to copy it and make a modification. Now if I copy and I'll paste it, and then I'm going to change this one. Now what plot it for me, remember this particular subplot. I'm going to pick up this subplot again here, and I'm also going to define the position both of them are going to be. So I'll paste this, and then when I paste it, I'm going now to now plot show. So let me run this. Now what happens is that both of them are in the same place, and that's why you're seeing both of them here. Now let me change this thing to 16 and run it again, and then we have this one in here, the first one having 16, and this is 6. We have plot this, so we need to plot the second one, which is plt dot x plt dot plot x comma y, and we close that bracket and we run it again, and you can see now that this is also have a plot to it. So you can see the 16 I added here is what is making it different. Now let me also add here to 19. Let me put 4 here, change this one to 6, change this one to 14, change this one to 10, and then change this one to, let's say, 6, and then I will run it again. What happens? This is in the same place. Now this is where I want to explain the position. Now the position says in row and columns, then I say plot this thing in row and columns. So that's going, so the position is the same thing. If I want to change the way the position is, I'll put 2 here and I'll run it, and that's when the 2 of them comes in for me. Now the row and the columns, I have defined another subplotting in another place, and then I have said give me this one and this one, and that's why I'm able to have both of them in this. So I've created another column. Now why is it that this one is not here? Now let me use the example. I'm going to put this one 1, and I'm going to put this y1, and I'm going to pass this parenthesis here, this one as 1, and I'm also going to pass this one as well as 1, and then I'm going to run this. What happens? It is still plotting it in this other side of it without taking it to the other side. What is the problem there? The problem there is here. I just want to put it 1 so that we have a different thing altogether. Now this is the arrangement. Remember what I told you, a Python is an interpreter. So it now goes in the other second plot. So you can see now that this plot have the same thing. Assuming I want it to be in the third plot, this is the location. This thing I'm doing now is the location. Now you see now there is nothing to put in the location, and that's why you're having this one, because the integer must be in this particular pattern, not 3. So you see now that I change this to 3, but if I change this to 2, and then that's still going to work well for me. So what does this mean? This thing means that, okay, a bit, let me show something here and put title. So I'm going to do plt dot title, and I'm going to say here this one is going to be army. Then I'm going to run this, and you see this one be army. So I want to show, so that I'm going to plt dot title, and then this one is going to be Lydia. So we have their names differently so that we can be looking at them. Now look at Ame and Lydia. Now if I want to revert Ame and Lydia, what do I need to do? I can change this thing to 2, and I can change this thing to 1, and let's see what happens. Even I write the code that way, but I was able to reposition both of them, putting this one later and putting this one first. Why? Because I am talking about positioning. Now what does this mean? I said something here. Go ahead.
I want to ask the role of this subplot.
Okay, the role of the subplot, a subplot actually helps us display a drawing or a plot. Instead of you having it in one figure, you can split them. If you look at subplot visual in Python, so let's just go here and then let me go to imagery. You want to make different analysis in this pattern. You see now that the only thing that will give you to plot this thing is, you see the way I plot line and polygon, this person plot line and polygon, it is only subplot that can help you show this information like this. Now if you go here, it is only subplot that can also help you show different, analyze different things in different view. Now for example, a subplot, let me explain it like this in a normal terms so you are going to understand it. When you are doing your study area in ArcGIS, you plotted something in one data frame and you show Kigali here and you show Rwanda here. You are trying to subplot them like sub, so that they will be on subplot on the same plane. So you use generally a subplot to get that done. Now if you look at what I asked us to do here in terms of the way we're going to produce this thing, this is a subplot. 2024 be here, 2025 be here, 2026 be here. So we're indirectly positioning them in a subplot format. Yeah, so that's exactly how you get them done. So in subplot, you use this particular way in getting it done. So you use the argument which we pass there as subplot to be able to create them in this particular way. Did you get that? Is that okay?
I have a question about.
Go ahead.
I want to ask, like, you have from the section of the morning, we have like this attributable, there is longitude, latitude, there is NDI, there is NDMI, something like that. Can we import the Excel, just import all data and get all pictures or all as we see it in ArcGIS Pro?
Yes, like the way we did, the way we do NDVI on ArcGIS Pro, right? We can do it in Python. Is that what you mean?
I mean that we can do it's kind of visualizations, because we ordered it in ArcGIS Pro, but we provide attributable and we export it like Excel, from table to Excel, you know? And can we just import that Excel and display that NVI image, right? NVI image as ArcGIS Pro and in the Python, and the same as we did in ArcGIS Pro?
Yes, we can do that. I told you we are going to do GeoPandas. We call it, yeah, we're going to do that. Not just only GeoPandas, we have other this thing. We are going to get that done. You see the way you worked on using that ArcGIS. So this is the documentation. So we can use that same way. Those analyses we're doing, we can do them using writing those codes. So that is possible. Yeah, so we can do that in several ways. Like you see here, you see the way we're visualizing. This is map, this is an image you have to do with raster, and we use GeoPanda and raster IO to put it like this. So we can see here, this is the point, so you can see the point overlay here. So we're going to use GeoPanda to get that done. So that's why I said is GeoPanda can also be worked on in that way. What do you say? Go ahead. Go ahead.
So it's me, I have a question.
Yeah, go on.
Would you please repeat the way we set like the row, the column, and the position?
All right.
How do you do that?
Okay, yeah, in the row and column, and that's what I wanted to explain here. Now I'm going to use this to explain that using this 1 2 2 is what I want to use in the 1 2 2. Now I want you to understand the first thing you have, the one you have on top of this is equals to the row. The 2 that you have in the second one is equals to the column. The 2 we have here is equals to the column. Then the third thing that you have there, which is the number, the other distance you have here, is what tells you the positions, like the location. We call it position or location, and this means plot it in the second distance for me. Now the row means this. So when you talking about row, I think those who did matrices will not be fighting this. So what I mean in that is that when you have, this is a row. So if I have this drawn like this and this drawn like this for you, and then I put up this thing here, and I put up this thing here, and I put up this thing here. Now this is the first row. Here is the first row. This is the second row here. Now this is the first column, and this is the second column. Now when I say that we have one row, the first thing you have on this line, the first thing you have on this line is trying to tell you that we are going to have one row. Then the second thing we have on the next line, meaning that we are going to have the two column. Then the third one says, among the two column, what position do I want to put it? Now let me use this again to return back again. Now when you see here, if I change this one to 2 and then have this one as 2, and then I'm going to change this one to be 1 and then have this one as well as 1. What am I trying to say? I'm saying create 2 row for me. I need 2 row. So now it means that this first position is trying to say I need 2 row. What is 2 row? First row, second row. But in this row, I want you to place Ame, which is this one, Lydia, place Ame in the first column. Put 2 row, but put Ame in the first column. So that's what, now put Ame in the first column and put Lydia in the first column. What position? I want Ame to be in the position of 2. So you can see Ame here being 1 and then Lydia being 2. If I want Ame to come if I want Lydia to come here first, I will go here to change Lydia position to put Lydia as 1. And if I run this, Ame and Lydia is going to be on the same place. And if I want Lydia Ame to come down to the second position, I'm going to put 2 here, and then Ame is going to come down here. Did you understand what I'm saying? Did you understand the principle of row and column?
Not yet.
Okay. It is sounding funny. All right, so let us return back here. I want you to be answering my question now. I will ask you and you answer me. Do you know what is row? Row.
Yes, I know it.
All right. This line here is the first row. This line here is the second row, right? Did you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the 2, this is 1, this is 2. Now, what is the position of A? Can you tell me the position of A?
Yeah, it's 1 1.
It is one word.
It is in the first row and the second and the first column.
So it is going to be A is going to be 1, comma. That is A is going to be 1, comma 1. What is the position of B? Tell me the position of B.
It's 1 2.
That is 1, comma 2, right? Now what it means is that the B is equals to in the row 1 but in column 2. Now what if I have What if I don't have this here? I'm going to close this. And I have A and B. What is the position of B now? What is the location of B? Like, what is the code B now in this particular distance? What does it mean? B is 1, 2, right?
Yes.
Now, this is what we call row and column, but I want to introduce another 3 parameter into it, which you're supposed to count from 1 to in that right order. Now, we have another position. The position or location here is where is it located inside that row and column that you have defined that A is equals to this and this is equals to 1, 2. What is the position? We have position 1, position 2. Now, what it means is that if you put something in A here, it means that A is equals in column 1, is in row 1, column 1, position 1. But B now is in row 1, column 2, position 1. Row 1, column 2, position 2. Did you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, so now B is in row 1, column 2, position 2. But A is in row 1. Here, you can see A is in the position of row 1, is also in the column 1, and it is also in the position 1. That is what we have here. Now, let's return back to the code and explain something. If you look here, you see now that the reason why we have 2 here is because I want to have 2 row, 1 column, and position 1. That's why we have the idea here. So if it is what I want before, I'm going to say I need 1 row, 2 column, and then I need 1 row, 2 column. Now, if I run this, what happens? It goes in this other way. We have 1 row. This is 1 row, 2 column, 1. Lydia is in 1 column. Then Ame is in the second column. What is the position of Ame here? Ame here is position 2, while Lydia is in position 1. Did you understand the principle now?
Yes, I understand.
Okay, all right. So that is how you define your position. So if you want to change it from row, you change it from row. If you want to put it in column, you can also put it in column. And in that same point, let us make it more complex, or let's expand it a bit. Then we have here, I want to plot another thing, which I'm going to do call plot, which I'm going to call plot 3. Now, I'm also going to copy this here, and I'm going to position this as plot 3, and this one is going to be Honore. Then in Honore, what am I going to introduce now? I am going to introduce 2. I'm going to put 3 positions in this. So in this way, I still want to retain it in this. I'm going to put 3, and I'm going to run this. What happens? It says must not be 2 rows and columns. So what happens here? This is 1 row, and then this is 2, and this is 3. So the column supposed to be 3 now. This is the problem, because I'm introducing another column into, so the column here supposed to be 3. So I'm going to put 3 here. So I'll run it, and you can see now that we have Lydia, Ame, and Honore in this particular pattern. So this is what we have here. Now let us redefine this. Now I'm going to put here as 2. I'm going to put this one as 2. I just want us to not to mix anything. So that's why I'm putting this one as 2. And I'm also going to put this one as 2. And I'm plotting this. And then I will have this here. So let us put Honore in that pattern. So we have this comma, this gives us in this pattern. Now this is position 3. No, this is first row, 3 column. So we have 1, 2. The position, the problem we're having here is this particular code. So it's supposed to also be 3. So this is the problem here. So you see now we have Honore, we have in that pattern. Now, I want to add another one. I want to put plot 4, and I'm going to put Valak. So inputting Balaka here. Now, what do I need to introduce? I want to put Balaka in the next column. And in that next column, it means that I need to introduce row 2. And in that row 2, I need Balak to be in position 1. That is row 2, column 1. And I also want Balak to be in position 1. What will I do? So this is what happens here. I want Balak to be in row 2, position 2. So you see here now, this comes in this particular pattern. Now, let us go ahead and make the rest of them normal. So let us edit this thing to 3. And then let us also edit this one to let's make it up to 3 as well, and let's change this thing to 2, 3, and then put this one also 3. I want us to have unique things, and then let's run it again, and you see here that we are putting this one labeling in this different pattern and showing this. So now what I mean is that I want it to be row 1. Now what is actually conflicting here? Let us finish what we are writing and we can actually redefine the position. So that let's put the rest of us here. So I'm going to also to copy this and let me put it here, and I'm going to call this one 4, and then I'm going to put this one as Farida. Then so we're having plot 1, plot 1, plot 2, plot 3. This one should be plot 4, and this one should be plot 5, and then the next one we are going to have is going to be plot 6. So copy and then go here and paste this here, and let's make it plot 6, and then edit this one in this order. So this one is going to be Leonson. So this is going to be Leonson. Now these are different positions. Now we can now define what position do we want to make them to be. What position do we want to make them to be? Now in the first position here, we say we need it in 2. So the first thing is, how many columns do we need? So in the first one, which is Lydia, so I want it to be in how many row? So I need to make it in 2 row. So I'm changing this to 2. Then how many row? 2 row. How many row? 2 row. How many row? 2, 2, 2, and then let us run this. Let's do it step by step. So all of them merge here. Now, how many columns do we want to have in this pattern? So we want to put them in different columns. So we can now define how do we want the columns to be. Do we want column 1, column 2, column 3? So for me, I want us to have 3 columns. So we go here. So let's change this one as well to 3 columns. Let us change this one as well to 3 columns. Let's change this one as well to 3 columns. Now I'll run it again. You can still see the overlap, but we have defined 3 different columns. Now, what is the position? I want Lydia to be in position 1. I want Ahmed to be in position 2. I want Honore to be in position 3. I want Balak to be in position 4 because that's the next position. I want Leon's Farida to be in position 5, and I want Leon C to be in position 6. Now I will run this. Now what's the problem? This is coming up here. So you can see this now. These have resetted this in this pattern, but let's see where the problem is coming from. What we have typed, the problem is because of this one, because I still did not change this to 3. Then I will run it, and then we see now that we have put everybody in their position. Now the row define the way it is, the column define the position they are. Assuming I want to plot the NDVI pattern for 2014, 20 for NDVI and NDVI. So let's say that Leonso here is now the NDVI of 2025. So you see now that if I run it, you can see that Leonso now is NDVI 2025 on this position, showing the pattern that changes that happen over the X and Y, or pattern that happen over a period of time. So this is Leonso, and this is the way you can position. If I want to flip them to have more row than columns, what do I need to do? Let me copy this, all of them, copy, and I'm going to paste it here. Now, if I want it to be in 3 columns, in 3 row, I need to come here and change this and put it in 3, 3. I'm putting it from 2 to 3, and then I'm changing this one to 2. I want it to be here in that pattern here. I need it in 3 row and then 2 columns. Then here I need it in 3 rows and I need it in 2 columns. Here I need it in 3 rows and I need it in 2 columns. Sorry, 2 columns. Here I need it in 3 row, 2 columns and 3 row. Then this one I need it in 3 row and then I need it in 2 columns. Now let's run it. It's not going to be right, but I'm going to explain. So you see the way we have it here and the position. The position is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is going to be right in this particular pattern. What if I need it to be in a single row? Everybody take your row in that position. So what I mean in that way is I'm also going to copy this and I'm going to go down here. I need everything to be in a single row. A single row, one single row, and the position should be 1, 2 to 6. So in that way, one single row I have to define my row. Here, what column am I going to use? Let Lydia be in column 1. And then what is the row? I want it to be in a single row. And then let Ame be in column 2. And then I want it to be in single row. And let Ame be in column 3. Then I want this one to be in a single row. Let Ame be in column 4. Like this. I want it to be in a single row. Let Ame be in position 5. So I want it to be in a single row. Let Ame be in the location that is column 6. Now if you do something like this, what are you going to have? You are going to have something like this because it is trying to tell you that must be an integer within this. So you have here that you have 6, 6, 6, 6 and 6. So this is 1, 2, 3. What happens? Because I said row, 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 row. Remember, I need to define columns in position. So I can make this adjustment in this particular pattern, for example. So this is just a position. If you understand what I said as related to the row and column, you can always define how do you want them to look and how do you want it to be. So now you see we only have Lydia because it is only Lydia that match up with this particular one. So in that pattern, you just need to know where do you need to position, how many rows do you want to have. The first thing, remember that the row is the first one row. What is the column? Column 1, and that is why we only have Lydia. Now the next one is what is the row? We have the row here, the row in this pattern. What is the position of that column? We have the column 2. Now the position 2. So if you are making position, you know when to put position 1 or position 2. So in that pattern, you should be able to make a positioning on where you want. And also if you want to put title or you want to put grid, you can also do the same thing like the way we have it here. You can also do the same thing like the way I put here. If you need this one to have grid, you can go ahead and still use plt.grid here, and you open and close, and then you run it again, and you can have that having a grid. What's the problem? Okay, so you can have Leon C as grid. So this is where I was making a trial. So you can have this one having the same grid like we say. So by passing grid to only Leon C, so you can have Leon C only have its own grid. So at the same time, you can make all of them, all of them having the simple title. Now what do I mean by having a simple title? If you want to put all of them a simple title, you do plt dot, let's say here, subtitle. So you go and type it as sub here, title. So what it means is that if you pass it, and let us say here our group. So if we run this, did I get it right? No, I made a mistake. So this is saying that Matplotlib has no attribute as subtitle. Yeah, it's supposed to be sub, not sub. So you see here that the general thing for all of us is our group. Now remember what I said, the way you can make it center, left and right. You can also customize the font like we do there. So you should be able to position it the way it is at every point in time. So this is the way you can work with a subplot. Now because of time, because I have another this thing. So let's quickly talk about scatter. Assuming you want to make a scatter plotting, and then in terms of scatter, use scatter in creating a point that function use scatter point, and this shows you the plot dot for each of the point. Assuming you have a number of dots that you want to work on and you want to show their location, and that's going to show you. Example of a scatter point is a point location of the hospital which we has been using. Now those point location of the hospital, I don't know whether we're going to, but that's going to take us time. If not, I will import the location of the coordinate of the hospital, and I would have visualized that now. So how do you plot them? Let's say that we have the eastern coordinate. Now, for example, the point we want to plot now in NDVI is a scattered point. So I'm going to say np.array. Now, let's say that we have a point that is scattered all over different places. So we now say here and we put a list. So I'm going to put 1, 5, any number I press just to put it in that scatter position. Don't know, but let's just go ahead and put it like this and cover it. Now this is a scattered point that we want to work on, and then we can plot them by saying plt dot you call the keyword which is scatter, and then you scatter, you now call the point you want to call, and then you do plt dot you show it, and that's going to show you the scatter point of this place. Has no attribute. Model number has no attribute as array. Yeah, sorry, remove this one. Okay, yeah, so I needed to bring in the second variable. Sorry, so in the second variable, let me just copy this as well and make a modification so that I will not type ara again instead of array. So 3, another one 6. So I'm assuming this is the longitude, another one is the latitude, for example. And then when we run this, we pass in the scatter into y, and we run that, and we have this point scattered over like this. So this is a way you can make a kind of scattering. So you see this point here, these are different places it is located. So you use the scattering to make maybe a relationship between a point and another point. So you can have different kind of points, and you can make a kind of scattering point all over them. You can also make a kind of comparison between one point or the other. How do you make a comparison between one point or the other? Let's say you have another point that you want to bring in here. So in that way, you can also make a copy here and then plot it like this. So you have the first one, is the first point that you want to plot here, and you have done that, and you want to have another second one. So let me just copy this one, copy, and then paste it here, and then let's run this one. So you have the same point in the same position. So let's make a shift on the point so that we can see the difference between those points. Here 12, here 16, here 70, and here 189, here 30, here 46, anything 26, here 61, here 19. And then let me change this one so that it will not intersect the same place. So you see here that these are 2 points here having different variable. This is the first one, this is the second one. You can also add the third one, meaning that you can bring in different points and overlap them on the same point, and you can see the difference between both of them. And then you can also make the color if you want to pass color on it. For example, if I want this one to be red, I can do comma and say color here, and I say equals to red, like pass the red to it. So we type red, and then we run it, and then we have this one as red, and also you can also pass this one as well, and then also type color is equals to blue. So you can also make blue color in this one, and you pass blue, so you can also change it to green, and you pass that into green. So depending on the color that you want to pass through it, you can also pass through color it. So what it means that each of the point represent what you want to work on. At the same time, there is a way to pass color to each of the variable. Like if I want each of this one to have, like the way I have this one here, you can also pass color into them. Like for example, is you see the way I have this one here, the way I have this one plotted here for me. If I want to pass a color to it, I also need to make another point. Let's say we have here as let's call it let's put it colors. So let's say colors here that want to pass each of these items here. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 of them. So let's pass color into it. So let's use np array, and then we now call the name of the color the same way we listed it. So we go here and say the first color I want to put here is let's say green. I think there are 6. The second one is red. The third one is blue. The fourth one is yellow. Let's just call yellow. The fifth one, let's put fifth one as black. Then sixth one, which other color again have I not used? Green, red, blue. Which other color again? Let's put orange.
White.
Okay, so orange. So let's put orange here. Then you see now that I've passed 6 colors into them, so I'll close them. Remember what we said when we're talking about this. So if I want to pass this one, so I will pass this one to color here, and then if I run this, it means I did not close the parentheses. Which of them? np array. Yes, that's true. And then the whole problem is solved. Yeah, so here you can see here now that the first point here is 10 against the first one you see here is 10 against 30, which is green. So look at the green here. The one is red. Red is the next one, which is 14 against 46. This is 46 against 14 somewhere here. So this has been yeah, that was the issue I was having on it. So because I also like trying to make a color as a strength again, even after defining it. So this is a small problem you will be fighting with while you are working. So at the same time, while we are here, you can also let me now. What I'm doing now is like example of what we did when we were using what do you call it? When we were doing contour on sofa. So if you remember that with those points we were trying to plot, we plotted them using this thing, but at the same time I want to pass the color, and I'm going to call CMap, and I'm going to call the color of the CMap. We have different other documentation, but we can use vary this as example. The CMap C should be ignored. You know data color ramping. Okay, so we can change this thing to color ramping by putting the numbers of the color ramping. Now we need to edit this, and we say the color ramping should also be in that pattern. So let's start with 0, and let's make 5, and then let's make 10, then 20, then let's make it 15. Let's just go in that order, and let's make 20. So how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then let's also add 25, and then we now put this. So this eliminates the whole issues we have here. So you can put this color in that particular ramping like in different ways like that. So for you to show the color bar that you have defined, so let's say plt.colorbar. So you type plt.colorbar here and you run that. No, I did not finish it before typing. So here, and you type this, and this is going to show you the color bar here. So you can see the way I put it up here. So this is going to show you colors by putting here. There are other different documentation like C color, C ramp here. There are other different documentation that you can see here. This is the way you can pass it, minimum and maximum. And if you scroll down here to the documentation, let's see for other colors. So this is where you can pass white edge here. Let's see other colors that can be passed on it. So you see these are different multicolor that you can use and the way you can get it. So if you read the documentations here, so you should be able to know which of the color are you going to use. Now let me say here, let me just type green here to actually explain something. So you see here, another way of getting to read the documentation is to make a mistake. Now when you make a mistake, it will show you a suggestion like you see here. Distance is also here, which you can see here as you pass it, but here it is trying to tell you this is not part of the what is supported as C ramp. So you can come here, this documentation. If I copy spectral and then go here and paste it here on the spectral here, and I will paste it and then I will run it, you can see it changing to spectral. So any of these colors are attached here, and if you look at the color we used today during NDVI, you can see that it's already is a spectral. So if you want to change something, you can also make that mistake like this, and then you can go here. Or if you don't want to make the mistake, just go straight and read the documentation. Like I right click and open, and you can see the documentation. So you can go ahead and read the documentation so that you will know which one you need to use. But if you don't want it like that, so you can see the way all these ones come here. So any of these documentation, like this is the one I use, you can use manual, you can use this one, you can use orange. So let's copy oranges and then you go here and replace it here with the orange, the same here on the color ramp here. So let's paste orange and then let's run it, and you have this in this pattern. So it all depends on you, whichever way you want to show the color. So there are several of them. Like I said, we have accent. So by normally you can see that way to get the documentation, or if you're in the Python here, you go to implementation and you can get it. So if you go with accent like this, you will be able to have another different types of color. And then if you go with, there are several of them, you can go with blues like this, and then you can have other colors. You can go with, I think, dark too. You can also get another colors you have. So there are different colors and there are so many of them, and you can get them to show you whichever way you want. We have binary, I think we have cool. Yeah, this is cool. I think we also have binary like this, and then you can see this is the binary that shows you have. So we have many of them. You can use copper, but like I said, if you don't want to, if you don't know it, you can use that same way that I use to get that one done. If you also want to, so you can also pass rainbow if you are using a color like the way we used in Sofa, and then you can get this done here. So what it means, if you have a clustered point that you have, you can also use it there. At the same time, you can also pass the sizes into it. What I mean by passing sizes argument into it is, let us close this for now. So in terms of sizes, so you need to define another one which is going to be the sizes. So in this way, you can, let's say you type the size to show the different, like you have the third parameters. Remember when we say when we're using Sofa, and then you want to pass this thing. So we will later show you how you can create a contour using Python. But if I want to change the sizes, I can always pass 3. I think it is 6, right? So let me just vary the sizes and make another one big. So this is 1, this is 5, and another comma. Let's make it 15 to make the sizes big. So this is the sizes. If you also want to pass it, you can also pass the sizes by using s is equals to sizes, which we have defined, and you can run that. That is s, not z. Now go ahead.
So would you please repeat the way that the variable color is working?
Is it in the color here? Or how I get,
yes,
how I get the CMap colors?
No, above, like colors equal to np dot array. What does that is doing there?
Okay,
like the number inside that array.
Okay, yeah, let me answer the question now. I'm going to make this in 50, and you see here, what I'm trying to say is that in the color ramp here, the minimum, the intervals is what I mean here. So you can see here, this is 10. So you can see here, this reach up to 50. So I'm going to change this thing to 500. And I think this answered the question for you. Is that okay? So if you remember your Python, if you remember what we did earlier on suffer, you can see that this color displays here. So this is a way. What did I do wrong now again? So this is a way you can get that done in that. So you can see the interval. So I was just trying to say this is the breaking. This is from here, change this color this way. From here, change also in this particular interval. So change for me at 5. So you can see here the color ramp where it is changing. It's almost at where the 15 is, and that's where the colors are changing. Do you understand that? Or do you still want me to explain? All right, so this is a way you can vary the size. Yeah, go ahead if it is a question.
Is there any way to increase the point
Yeah, that's what I'm
size
doing.
of it?
Is it the point size? Yeah, this is the way you can increase the point size. If you have a reason to have the bigger size and the smaller one, if you look at the red is smaller, the red is coinciding with every point it is. Let me put this one 2000, and then let's see. You see how big this one is. So this is the way you can increase the different size and vary the size. Remember, like I said, you need to get that done, like have it in your head. Also, I'm going to introduce alpha inside this. Introducing the alpha, like I said, I don't want us to let me copy again, because I want it you, when you can be reading this, you can see a different thing. So I want to introduce alpha. The alpha here is between 1 and 1.
Sir, we are not listening to you. We're not hearing you.
You're not hearing me again? Can you hear me?
Some have its voice, something like that.
Are you sure it's not your network? Because my mic is on well. Is it that I'm speaking smaller or what? Can you hear me better now?
It's not good, but we are hearing you.
Yeah, so maybe it is internet, but I don't know. But I can hear you clear, and if there is nothing again that is using my mic, except something is stealing my mic, user abuse mic is used by, yeah, so I think there is nothing again that is interfering with my mic for now. Yeah. Okay. So this is a way you can you can increase the sizes. And what I'm doing now is the alpha to increase the color. It ranges from 0.1, from 1.0 to, if I put 0.5, you can see it diminishing. If I put 0.1, you can see the point diminishing. So alpha shows you the transparency of how you want it to show. So that's the way you work with some points like that. So alpha give you example of this. So maybe, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I think somebody is asking question. Somebody is not asking question. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to explain something a bit in a moment, just like to explain something small, and then I want to also just like, let's copy this as well to make it faster, because we have spent enough time. So I just want to make a kind of different thing so that I will explain this in a way that it might be better for us. So I'm also going to make all this one as well. So I just want to copy, make a randoms, and then I can also work in the sizes. Yeah, go ahead with your question while I'm typing.
You have some issue, sir. There is a combination of your voice and other external one. I don't know if there's external or your machine. is increasing somehow.
The problem, are you guys in the same place?
Not all.
No.
If any of you is in the same place and using the same thing, I think that's where the interference is coming from. Because, or was it like this from the beginning?
No.
So maybe. Okay, so I'm trying to pass this to it. So I just want to summarize this with this one. So I'm also going to call alpha, and then I'm going to make alpha 1 for now. And then let's go to CMap, and let's put CMap, and let's also use rainbow as well. So I'm just going to say rainbow. Now in this aspect of rainbow, and then I'll close it. Sorry, I'll close this. Now when you see this now, then the next thing is to call for the color bar. That is plt dot color bar, and then just call it here, and then plt dot show alpha instead of alpha. All right, so this is a random point here, and let me reduce this as well to here. Okay, here, and then here, and let us run this. So now this is rainbow ranging random color. So you see this here, you also run it again, and then you have this here, so you can see the randomize, and then here. Now the C here means if I put this now 0.2 and run this, this is, you can see how blank is it, and I push it to 0.3, 0.5 and run this, and you see how the color is. Let's go to 0.6 and run this, and you can see the colors. If I remove it to default 1, that's going to be in 1, and that's going to show us in that particular way. Now we are going to stop here with your question. Tomorrow we can start from maybe pie chart or histogram before we can go, but at least with what we have done so far, you can show what you want to do. Then if you want to use bar, for example, if you want to use bar in representing your work, maybe I will just give example of what I'm saying if I want to use bar. So but I'm not going to proceed with it. I'm going to stop some here, and then, but I want to just say if you want to use bar, use it like this. Now I'm just going to give example of what I mean by if you want to use bar. Why is it not marked down? There's space between them. Okay, so if you want to use bar, let's say that let me copy something to make it faster. So I'm just going to copy this. Let me just copy this, and I want to come here. I'm just trying to explain this for those of us that want to use bar. Now I'm going to use X and Y. For here, I'm going to call this first one. I think it is 6, and we are here, and we are 6. So I'm going to say Ame. Holy shit! I'm going to say Lydia. I'm going to say Leoncy. Then I'm going to say Farida. I'm going to say Balaka. And then I'm going to say Honore. So this is just like a way of explaining something a bit. So we have this, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's correct. Now, if I want to use bar in this one, I need to see plt.bar, and then I'm going to pass x, y, and I will close this, and I will run that, and we have this array. You see Ame, Lydia, Leoncy in that way. So this is a way you can use bar. We are going to continue from here next time. So if you want to use bar, you change this thing and add h to it. and then you can see it in horizontal part. The same order this thing is repeated in that particular pattern. Then if you want to use the histogram, like the way we want to put it up, I can put here. So here you just need to change and type hist, and then what did I get wrong? Okay, so okay, histogram. Okay, I just copied AME. So let me comment this and run this, and then not passing this particular argument here. Let me remove X, for example, and let me put Y, and then this is a histogram here. I'm just using a histogram, so let me do plt.show, so that show, then here. So I have a histogram here. Remember that you also need to do plt.show. You know why it shows without putting plt. I think I've explained this a bit before, but you can see that I did not put plt.show, and I've explained the principle behind that. Go ahead. Yeah, so this is how you can use histogram for now. Yeah, 1 more minute before you ask your question, like little bit seconds. Let me explain another one.
Okay.
Now, if you want to do pie chart, I'm just going to copy this in case you want to represent whatever that I asked you on this last project. So this one, and want to represent with pie chart. So pie chart, you can use pie here, and let's run it, and you get it in pie chart here. So this is just like generally on how you can get that done. So by our next section, so we can represent that. So if you want to label it, then let's use, if you want to make labeling, bring in this particular variable. So let me copy it and put it in the pie chart here, and let's put Y here, the same thing, and then to remove it. So if you want to label it, when you put the pie chart here and you say plot it by this particular one, then you go to label here, and then you type labels is equal to X. I think, am I right? Yes. So you can have this array in this particular pattern. So we will continue from bar here. This is where we stopped. So as I finish up here, and I wanted to get it in my GitHub, I will return back here. Under local here, terminal, this one is already running, and then I'm going to add another one because I don't want to remove that, and I'm going to say git add, then git commit. Sorry, I made the mistake on the first one. Git add, I added this, then git commit, then to the main, and then small m. And what did we do today? We talked about, we did scatter, right? We also did something to relate to grid. I just want to put what we did. We also did something that relates to subplot. So we did subplotting, and these are things we did, and then I press enter, and that's it. So the next thing is to do git push, and once we push that, that's going to go up there. So if you return back to our GitHub, you can see it is not here. So let's click here and see what we have. So it's still pushing. It will be successful when this is pushed. So you see it have successfully is up there. And if you look here, we are going to talk about readme later, but if you look here, you see now that now is the last time I push. If you click on this, you will be able to have everything that I have just pushed in my GitHub. So this is the output, so you can see each of the code with whichever way I run it. So you can see this is where we stop. So by our next session, we pick up bar, and we complete from bar. We do histogram, we can do bar chart, then we leave here and jump into another thing. So